before Scorsese's silence. You missed all the important prehistory before the Inquisitor. Really? Are you kidding me? The Japanese.
We think Scorsese's going to be anti anything Catholic ever?
Italian Catholic Scorsese? No, he's absolutely inside. Absolutely inside. All of the insider stuff. That's exactly what happened. Is the Japanese found out the Jesuits were a military insurgency trying to take their country over. And they said, get out. Now's your time to get out. And they didn't. They went underground. And then the Japanese found them. Anyway, we said, get out. And you didn't get out. So now we're going to torture and kill you.
They're good tunnelers, those Japanese.
Yeah, right. So the Jesuits are even better. The Jesuits are even better in tunneling. So they're... Check this.
You're muted, Mark. Your thing's crossed out.
Sorry. Audio's good. We're good.
Are we on again?
Yeah. We're good.
Oh.
We're live. We're back.
Good,
Everyone piling back into the chat. Sorry about that, everyone. I think we had a little hiccup there.
I should probably read some chats and stuff, shouldn't I?
Well, you guys were getting into some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And the conversation, the podcast is just going whether we're live or not. So just keep blazing.
Okay, so Tom MC, because he gave me a super chat, said fix the audio. I guess that's done. Also, Kurt, can you start referring to Peter Thiel as Petey Bird? Pretty please. That's for somebody that I know or care about deeply when I start throwing around names like Petey Bird. I mean, I don't know Peter Thiel like that, so I can't. I'm sorry.
I can tell you that his mentor, Rene Girard, is very deep into Catholicism. I have a French or Belgian Catholic.
Dude, doesn't Peter Thiel look like a guy that, like, because he has no eyebrow, he looks like he should be wearing chainmail, and he's like the bad guy and, like, I don't know, Lady Hawk or something. I'm like,
oh my goodness, no, nobody can touch Rutger Hauer as well. He was the hero in Lady Hawk.
He just looks like such a crusader faced guy that if I was drawing that in a comic book, I would draw his face with like some chainmail on and a cross.
Or you could have the individual that calls himself Elon Musk, right? Go up in some kind of weird satanic lobster outfit on Halloween. Seriously?
What do you mean a lobster outfit? What does that mean?
He had some kind of weird, a couple of Halloweens ago, he had some kind of weird satanic lobster outfit for Halloween. Listen, I personally feel...
What?
Say again, Mark?
What outfit? You're talking about the devil outfit?
Some kind of weird devil thing. Looked like a big lobster to me.
I just want to point this out to everybody. It is Halloween, the devil's holiday, literally. So
right.
You're not going to wear a devil. It's like when people are mad at the Olympics because of that weird blue guy that came out in a big fat gay platter, and everybody's like, this is some kind of pagan ritual. Like, you're at the Olympics. You're not at the Jesus games. What are you talking about?
Right.
You can't go to the thing and be mad.
How about Stephanie Germanotta, aka Lady Gaga, and her presentation at the MTV? Yeah, right. Looks like a big lobster to me. I personally feel like he is just an absolute front, a fabricated front. That there really is no legal entity for Elon Musk. That's a fabricated name. That's just a gut feeling.
Here's what I would put together immediately as a psychic derp detective. One. When I found out he has a Mormon guy around him at all times, that's who's setting up his like sperm trysts with whatever the fuck his eugenics program. There's a Mormon guy from Idaho, very bad sign, number one, who's his right-hand man, who's from a family band. It just gets grosser the more you look into it. Why? So Elon's an atheist in Mars and blah, 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 and he's got a Mormon family man who's with him at all times. Right there's your handler and your programmer, just like Kanye West had that guy. His personal trainer had power of attorney over him. You ever get a personal trainer and
his Jewish Canadian trainer was holding him back and threatening him. Whatever.
I just thought, why do all these people want to suck Nick Fuentes' dick? Just I want to because Destiny got rich after he did it. You can't deny that. We're just talking about the compromise you should make.
Would you suck another man's pee-pee for $5 million?
I know I'm a little old. I know. I don't think he likes DILF is the problem.
Oh man, listen. There's
so much old tomcat with big balls. Does he like?
Yeah,
all right, wait.
Right.
He looks amped up.
But by the way, this whole thing about Templars and Baphomet is kind of a thing, except that the Jew that created the Baphomet was not a Jew. He's an incognito Roman Catholic. Eliphas Levi was actually Alphonse Louis Constant, a Roman Catholic Belgian.
Okay, so this is a part I don't get. I really, as far as I can tell, the factions at the top are it's like fascist perverts versus pervert fascists. Okay. And I don't really understand how they line up, because you've got one side of like supposedly Jesuit people that are 100% on board for what's going on in Gaza and they got no problems with it. Then you got another side, right, who seems like they're mad about it, but they're connected to like, I don't like, what are the factions? Who's running? Like who is supporting this Netanyahu thing right now? That's part of that. That's got to be the.
It's not supported. It's scripted. It's entirely scripted. Now, why would
producing? Who's producing?
Right. Rome, to me, Rome. Now, I can't. I'm just going to tell you what I see from the outside. Now, why would Hamas start their rape fest when the entire IDF, when a cat farts on their sonic line where they have all the microphones, and suddenly they're looking the other way after they've beat down the Palestinians?
Yeah, no, we covered this on Jimmy's show a lot, and right out of the gate, the IDF people are saying. First of all, and here's something that, as I'm sad to say, because it sounds really fucked up. They all know Netanyahu's a piece of shit. Israelis know that 100%. He was about to go to jail, if you recall, before this happened. But they're just sticking by him because it's that racist. But it's not all of them there. They're getting beat up. There's a bunch of protesters right now in Israel that are, they live in Israel and they're protesting because it's too much even for them. People I know personally who work on Tony's show got stuck in Israel. Remember, Netanyahu closed down the airports to have American citizen hostages to make sure we keep helping them go at Iran. That's a whole story. Dude, it's wild. The people that you generally see online, they don't know anything about anything. You like your Tim Pool section. I got upset this morning because I put on, I like Tony Merkel. He's got this Jonathan Kahn piece of shit who I don't know what the fuck he's supposed to be. He's like some weird, messy, and his whole thing is, no, Christ can't return unless Israel, the third temple's built. I'm like, that's a different Messiah story than the one. Again, I don't claim to be Christian. I will sometimes act like it. Right?
The temple is cursed. There's no such thing. So Galatians 3 and 4, Paul says, without a doubt, there will never be a third temple. Galatians 2:18 says, if I rebuild the things that I have torn down, I become an infidel. There will not be a third temple. There's no such thing as Christian Zionism. Anybody,
if you don't think that Jesus was the Messiah, which I guess if you're Jewish, you would not, then that's a thing. Like, without me passing any judgment on anybody's belief, it does not make sense that a Christian would have a hardcore investment in this on a Christian level. It just doesn't make any sense.
Ignorance. They are ignorant of their own Bible. They're ignorant of the Bible.
Yeah, the thing of chosen is chosen for the Messiah to come out of your bloodline. That's what chosen meant.
Right.
In fact, the old Bible, I mean, if I want to sum it up non-religiously, it's like Dune. It's the breeding record of the Messiah. Okay, whereas Dune, the Messiah is a failure. The one in the Bible is not a failure in lore. I'm not telling you what you got to believe. But that's the story. So that's what chosen meant. Doesn't mean to have all the land from whatever.
Yes. Think about it, Kurt. If you as a Christian say that there are promises to a bloodline that circumvent the sacrifice of Jesus, you're not a Christian. You're blaspheming the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And oh, by the way, the Bible says that much. Paul says that much in Galatians 3 and 4, that the wall separating the inner and outer courtyard where the Gentile proselytes were has been broken down. Christ broke down that wall, separating the Gentiles. There is no Jew or Greek anymore. There's just born again. And so for any Christian,
the point of having a Messiah, if it didn't free you from bullshit like your rank and your caste and your, what is your the point? What these people that say they're Christian that are like, but they're like eugenic Christians where they're, like, it's really creepy. And I'm like, yo, go worship Odin or something, dude. That ain't what Christ is supposed to be. Just stick to your own lore that you claim to believe. But the bottom line is all these little extra religions, and there's probably barely any fucking Freemasons. They've been dying out for a while, so they have to have new things to replace that. The thing, and all they need is farm team kind of frats to scout the next generation of psychopath people that are ambitious enough to do anything they're told, but not so ambitious they'll try to take my place.
Right.
And so how do you scout for those people? And if I'm a very wealthy person and I named, I'm Kurp the Third, right? Because I'm such an important name, and literally a bunch of egoists are trying to clone themselves like a Dalai Lama by naming their firstborn. You can see what they're trying to do, imprint their family legacy on them. That's why they love pyramids, because it's a generational project.
I'm sorry, you're talking about Dan Brown? You're talking about Dan Brown?
All this shit is the same shit.
Right.
It's a thing of, I don't want to die. I only care about this material life. That's all there is.
And we're back to feudalism, Kurt. We're back to feudalism. I have the divine right to rule over you because my family tree don't fork.
Oh, hold on. Stephen Johnson, $2. Have you seen any of Robert Sapir's books and vids? Yeah, last episode I brought it up, and I like that he looks like he's been holding in a load for 30 years for alchemy reasons. It's the funniest thing in the world to me. But I have watched a lot of his stuff, and a lot of it is interesting. Some of it is not quite so accurate, but I'd say he's got better accuracy than that guy. Who's that fat guy with the glasses who's like, oh, nice little pterodactyl, Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell is saying, and I'm a guy that loves nonsense, but you got to tell me nonsense that I don't already know is nonsense.
Right. Robert Pine. What was his real name? Pine. Yeah.
Dude, he's saying definitely nonsense, and it's so inaccurate. I'm like, what's his purpose?
Right. His purpose is distraction. His purpose is to sow bullshit with seeds of truth and get you distracted. And he admits that he has family that were in the Vatican. He had the Secretary of State was a family member of Vatican Secretary of State. The thing I found funny is because when he would talk about this stuff, I remember thinking it sounded remarkably similar to Nation of Islam strain of theology of cuckoo. And then I find out he had connections with them. Right. Well, they're free.
A lot of black cults liked his shit because it's the bullshit defeat. Like, there's like people that are like distributors, and there are people that are like the retail operations of bullshit, And he was almost like a bullshit distributor. And then you got like the Nation of Islam, and it's funny, he worked that market like how Tom Arnold only did black movies for a while. Jordan Maxwell, if you look at the marketing of this stuff, you could really trace a lot of it. And then it helps people ease the blow, because I think people are, for number one, both uncomfortable with supernatural shit, which if it's real would not be supernatural, it'd just be natural. That is a nonsense word. They're not comfortable with that, but also they're religious, right? But you're like, how are you religious and you don't believe in the thing you believe in? Like, how is that possible? And that Janus thing you mentioned earlier, you could see it in all, when I watch the excuses now made for just killing and the least Christian thing there is, or that stupid Collins Elite book. I like the book, but the people feeding this line of crap to the guy writing it, they're like, oh, there's one faction was fundamentalist Christians of the Collins Elite, and one was like, the left-hand path. And I'm like, first of all, the name Collins is not instilling great faith in me that these are Christians of any kind. Also, they're in the military at high up, so no, they're not fucking Christians. What are you talking about? Do you think you could be a Christian and be involved? So they're trying to use the alien power to remote assassinate people first. Well, that doesn't sound too Christian. Collins Elite. I must not be elite. I must be a lowly.
You just don't understand the white hats, Kirby. You just don't understand the white hats.
That's the Lucifer thing. The white hat. In fact, if you look at stupid Baphomet drawing, there's a white and a black snake. The white one, Ahura Mazda, is the white hat, fake white hats down. And then the black one is Ahriman. I got this from Tracy. Dude, if you haven't looked at her shit, because she really cuts. What I like is cutting the shit and getting past all. Like, just sum up for me what the fuck this is. Everything's a weird gay cult. Yup.
Right.
Yup.
Right.
And also the thing of like, see, he's holding on to John, who, by the way, I love that dude. I love hanging out with him. Fucking good guy, man. You could see a guy who's holding on. A bunch of my friends are this. Right. Why would they not? What are they going to do? If you got no company, you would think having your
rocking the world, brother. You're rocking the world. Yeah, that's dangerous.
And then if you don't believe in nothing, now, like I said, I definitely believe in God, and the only reason I feel like I have to is because once you just scratch a little bit and see how profoundly bad what bad is,
Right.
Even if you want to be materialist about it, things have to balance out
Oh my
in an
goodness.
equation. Okay. And that just gets it to a level of two equal yin and yang forces. But I don't think it's like that. I think it's more like God's an author, not a watchmaker, whatever dumb Mason shit they say. I think it's like an author. Okay. So the idea that, Satan or Ahriman or Azazel, all these people are going to fight the author of the book. In Game of Thrones, the Mountain, the big guy they're all afraid of, George R. R. Martin is not afraid of the Mountain. He wrote him in as the adversary, or the Hasatan, as we would call it. It's an adversary. It's not a match for the author of the goddamn book. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So all I'm listening for now, and this is the only, like I said, I don't care if I was talking to Jay Dyer about it, because I didn't get raised believing in the Trinity. Okay, they thought Jesus was God's son, and the hierarchy of it, I really could not get my head around why it matters that I believe this thing they came up with at Nicaea. I can't, but whatever. I don't give a shit. I just asked him why. So you're telling me God got pregnant with himself? Is that what you're telling me? And he had a long thing, because he had, now James Buchanan, adult convert to Catholicism, funny dude. He goes, yes. He just goes, yes, right away. Now that story I brought up on the last one, because I listen to all the secret space program people, unless they're boring, because they're, the ones that are not boring are ones where you're like, well, either something happened to this person, even if it wasn't the Star Trek adventures I'm hearing, And the interesting ones, the one guy, Daryl James, I keep saying, look at his thing, just the story. Don't tell you to believe nothing. Just listen to the story. He was saying these stupid Nordics, they call themselves Taijitans, which I had never heard that before. And because they live 800 years, these Aryan angel-like super Germans of Aldebaran or whatever the fuck, if a woman's husband died, she can have him reimplanted in her, and she can give birth to him. Because they have 800-year lifespan, so you can give.
Are you talking about Osiris? Are you talking about the myth of Osiris, the myth of Nimrod?
Right. You see how many now? There's like 4 things where I'm hearing the same story over and over about somebody impregnated. So, like I said, what my personal theory now, I said the last time, or my little hypothesis, and if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong, but I think this strain of the serpent race, that I found out they're called. The old religion people, they're called the serpent race. That's what the Freemasons have. And it's so the ones that came from the line of Cain or whatever bullshit. When
right,
okay, and I don't think this is a real story. I think there's a lot of inaccuracies, but I think they really have been telling themselves this.
Yes,
the Catholic Church has been around for a while. A lot of religions are real old, and
the lies
why
are for
this
them.
one be the religion of being in charge of all the shit? That's the old religion. They call it that. They don't call it Satanism. They call it the old religion because it's old, and that's the controllers. And that's why Lucifer, to some of them, Lucifer is a thing of like, well, I have to hold the good and the bad. Think of if you're a president who really was a Christian, I would think you'd blow your brains out in despair, even as a Christian, because I don't know how I could sit there. The stuff that I just see of unreported news that is reality, not outer space shit.
Right.
It's made me nuts, dude. I started drinking again, which helps. It kind of helps a little bit. But it's nuts. And the worst part is, if I try to tell somebody reality, just the regular news, a smart person who works in the expert field of knowing about it, they look at me like I just said a goddamn a lizard conspiracy, because I said literally what's going on in Haiti one time. Like, how do you not see the program all around, dude? Like, it's everywhere. It's overwhelming. So once you have to see that, and then you can't unsee it, what are you going to fall back on? I mean, I would hope if Catholicism is good, I would be able to fall back on that.
You'd have to wake up. You'd have to realize that your worldview is shattered, and the vast majority won't do that. The Taijitans, is that like the Greek Titans, the ones with the gods went down and had sex with the humans?
It's all the same story of the sky, the people from the sky that
Same thing with
it's like a cross between bestiality and pedophilia. Really, the crime of what they did in that story. The Watchers.
Right. It's a tiny kernel of truth. A tiny kernel of truth. There absolutely is genetic fuckery and skullduggery going on, and it may cross over interdimensional boundaries. But as far as things like bloodline curses and line of Cain, that's absolutely, from a Christian perspective, it's unbiblical. It's absolutely unbiblical. The idea that there's an entire
okay, it is, yes. And so I was trying to understand how this could be a story these people have, where it's like, I like Gary Wayne. If you see Gary Wayne, I think he does a great job looking into that kind of stuff. And there's a big thing. Oh, the serpent, the Nahash, somehow had intercourse with Eve, and then so Cain was actually a bigger brother than the other. No, it said Adam and her reproduced in the thing, so that doesn't make sense. However,
Genesis 4:1. Adam knew his wife, and out came Cain.
Wait. Okay. So meanwhile, though, what these people do is make moon children, and in Tracy Twyman's research, a big part of this is that's why the sky, whatever Ishtar goddess they make out like, she's still a virgin because she's just attaching to the person who's actually doing this. It's like a legalistic workaround to fornication or whatever for them.
Sure.
I had never thought of anything like this way before. So so basically, and people, and a lot of people, if you drug journalists are just on, and a lot of these very wealthy, big name people have fake birthdays out there. It's not just vanity. It's when they're born. These people are charting each other's astrology so they can do attacks on each other. The story of Caspar Hauser is a story of a wealthy scion this was done to. We got kept in like a crawl. He was basically like Harry Potter. He was kept in a crawl space under the stairs till he was 17. And then they finally let him out because they had charted when he was going to be born. And I think DJ is totally onto something with that, because I think a lot of them were like, oh, I'm not going to get the same way a mobster has to have, a safe in case he gets kidnapped, like in Casino. These people are planning on Harry Potter lines that you never would have imagined. But all this science people, that's who's paying for you to do your fucking expertise, dickheads. It's people that think they come from Atlantis. That's who's in charge of you. And I just want to know why they think that and what it is they know and what they found, And it turns out, for some reason, it's the most disgusting. Robert Sapir, that person brought up. The more you look into it, the more you're like, it's really just pee-pees and wee-wees and poo-poos? Yeah. What in the... Dude, the first thing I would have said is a dumb, dismissive joke about the Washington Monument is the reality if you do all the research.
Massive phallus of Osiris. The pornographic phallus of Osiris.
Yeah. You could have figured that out in 5 seconds. And that's what I'm saying. It's like J.J. Abrams' mystery box story. It's like not very good storytelling.
And they believe it. And they sink millions. Gods of Egypt. They're sinking millions of dollars bringing this to life for them. You're absolutely right, Kurt. It's for them. Because at the very, very top, at 0.00001%, full on worship Satan, no holds barred, and everybody else is a pawn. They need their pawns, even though they're vested, they need their pawns to believe this bullshit. And that's why they
look, the main thing is, Satan is a title. They worship the DA or whatever. That they have names for these things, and I wish. See, just hearing Satan, the way I heard stuff, I'm very interested in all kinds. Even though I'm not religious at all anymore, I'm highly interested in it, and I'm highly interested in interpretations of it. And just now, at this moment, I'm noticing the Scofield Bible narrative breakdown that I never. Because when I was a kid, dude, it was very different. It was everybody was into that Christian Zionist, like Hal Lindsey and all that. Everybody's into that hardcore. And all of a sudden, I don't know why now it's skim. But this, since I was a kid, one thing for Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm pretty sure it's a front made by the Russell family as a cover for their coven from my
Freemason. Yeah, good old Charles Taze Russell. Get me a toga on his deathbed.
He said, "Give me a toga." I never heard that story. But he wasn't like a Joseph. When I was in it until I was 20. He didn't come up like he was Joseph Smith the prophet. Like, they mention him, and then you could tell they're embarrassed because they go, "Well, the light keeps getting brighter as we near end time." So it had already passed on into the next hands. But the thing is, I didn't know this at the time until very recently, that like OTO and all those groups, your final project is to start a religion. That's your final class project at Gay Wizard School. And they did, and they all do. And then and by the way, if the people in the religion are sincere and they follow it, especially like you're a Jew, you ever see Mormons as white and winsome, genetically German engineered, clean? Oh man, I bet they got the tastiest organs of any kind of human cattle. The dedicated Mormons, right? For a group of a witch. That's what Joseph Smith was, a warlock. And I've heard these. I'm looking for repeating themes when I look into this stuff. I don't get hung up. That's why I don't care about names and dates, because I find those confuse the issue from the very basic storytelling that needs to be done for people to get how bad it is. So Star Wars, the reason I got friends crying to this day about it is because they effectively did a myth-made story, and you got to learn how to tell people the stuff it's not, you don't get shit. For me to understand it, I got to hear it in a way that I can understand it like that, Otherwise, I blank out. I hate school, and I hate fucking, I just need to hear like what it is, the gist of your guys' thing. And when you find out how stupid it is, like there's one, hey, don't force yourself on small children and drink them like a high C juice pouches. And one goes, I think sometimes you have to do that. It's real simple. It's not complicated. The complications are from liars making a mystery. They're dragging out a stupid mystery.
You're just
like
asking
UFOs.
for the big picture. Yeah, Kurt, you're just asking for the big picture. Totally understandable. I try to do that regularly. And then I try to base my big picture on historical data, names, places, and dates. But I absolutely agree with you. You need to pull back out and look at the big picture. What are you selling?
I'm not that quick, dude. Like, I don't know why it took me 20 years. Well, like, that's the thing. Like, I fall for all this stuff, but I just can't fall for it like every time. Like, you get me like 2 or 3 times, dude. That's it. Like 3 maybe if
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Like Billy Corrigan's story of his the girl he who transformed into a lizard while he was having sex with her.
Good Catholic.
He only alludes to it, so this isn't like he said this part. But apparently, some friend I watch on I can't remember the guy's channel, but I mentioned him in my court episode. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your channel, dude. But people say it's Tila Tequila, okay? And Tila Tequila, I guess he went back twice, and I was laughing because I'm like, if you were, I'm just thinking of what I did in my time in my 20s or 30s. I would have probably went back like she couldn't have turned into something. I'm just gonna see if it was a fluke. And then, oh goodness, she turned into something. And yeah, it's one of the funniest. Imagine seeing that. Well, you'd probably question your sanity, right?
Kurp, there's like countless stories of that happening to women with Sasquatch, right? Like, and there's even like a whole genre.
That a guy turned into Sasquatch?
No, that they're like hiking in the woods and Sasquatch takes them as a lover.
Okay, Rogan had a whole thing about Bigfoot porn. There's like Bigfoot porno books about.
Yeah, that's what it's based on.
You're telling me this is not just that. You're saying there is like Bigfoot takes a lover is a theme that you've seen a lot.
Yeah, that's where those romance novels.
So are they covering up for Bigfoot, like the Epstein?
Well, to stick with the theme, people would say that Bigfoot would be like the Nephilim or the original project humanoid on Earth that the builder rejected and was banished.
Yeah, well, look, there's a bunch of. What I find interesting, and I mean, there's a bunch of stories. Bigfoot always interested me the least because I was like, oh, it's a big kind of ape. I don't care. Like, well, it didn't capture my imagination back in the day. But do you notice all the change where it's like Dogman now, Giovanni? The stories. So it used to be always Bigfoot. Now you're hearing Dogman, dog. And I don't know when that started, like the 90s. But like Lizard Man, these themes have been coming out and like all at once at certain times. I've noticed. And I'm always like, why right now? The Lizard Man thing, in Kathy O'Brien's book, she said they had a device that they could make themselves look like that, like a hologram thing. Right. Not Kay Griggs said it. And what's her name? The other one that with the red hair that she died that talked to, like, anyway, they had a thing that because I always thought so stupid that would be lizard people. Like, what is it, Star Trek? The cheap one with Shatner fighting the rubber lizard. And no, they did psychological studies, supposedly, that's what people have a primal fear of.
Bryce Taylor? You're thinking of Bryce Taylor?
Yes.
Right.
Bryce Taylor, I forget the other one. But anyway, it sounds like some psychological testing from the 50s, like lizard aliens. That'll get them.
Right.
And then Kathy said they had devices that do this. She goes, I don't know if there are or aren't lizard people. I'm just telling you, they had these devices. So I find that very interesting. But then I'll hear stories that are also very, like Jay Parker. You ever hear Jay Parker?
Vaguely, yes.
He said Buzz Ware, that guy from his town, and his dad used to lament he didn't have enough corruption to shapeshift to a lizard. Okay, and this is like I want to have Jay on. I got his number. But so I'm like, okay, and also there's he's a child seeing this. Very specifically, it has to be a child because your imagination. Oh, they go, is it just your imagination? What do you mean just? That's why they're doing it.
Programming.
They think
It's
you
programming.
are closer. Now, I'm not saying this is true or false. I'm saying this is what they say because you're closer to God because you just got here and you got the imagination of a child. That's what they need because consciousness being everything. If I can warp a child that early, that is giving you could change the whole hologram with that. Every section of the hologram has the full hologram in it, right? That's how holograms work.
Right.
So if I could corrupt this one little part of it, it would necessarily change the other ones to this, right? But like, then the question is, why would you want to do that? That's fucking crazy. But that's the thing. And so
absolutely programming. Just a couple of quick examples. Proof that it's programming. Go all the way back to the movies, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. King Kong, where King Kong strips the girl. That's what in 1930. Go back to Forbidden Planet with Freemason Leslie Nielsen. Go to the movie posters. Forbidden Planet.
One with the id? Wait, is that the id monster? Forbidden Planet.
Right.
Is that like the Montauk thing that they Junior? They brought something out. Some kid's id was the old story about Montauk for that chair.
They're riding that. They're riding that. Yes. Creature from the Black Lagoon. The movie poster of the creature carrying the half naked girl. Look at the movie posters of this stuff, of the programming of trying to get you buying into investing in this some kind of inhuman.
Well, also, what about this? Like, I don't know if you ever did DMT before, but I did, and when there's like stuff that you don't have a pattern in your head to define what you're looking at. Okay, well, a lot of this stuff, and a lot of sci-fi happens organically. I'm not one of these people like, oh, that's disclosure. The collective unconscious, they call it, the meat internet. That's all floating. The reason these people are trying to do these evil things is to corrupt the what do they call it? The endomorphic field. Again, I don't know what these things are real. This is what they say, and so. Just the fact this stuff exists, if you're creative, you're going to be plucking it out of the air like Wi-Fi and putting it in stuff. Of course, it could happen organically. Really, any kind of inspired work that's like good is channeled to some degree. I'm not saying, it's from the great white masters. Right. But anything you do creative is that humans are a medium. That's why the snake imagery. That the Phoenicians did that shit where the snake bites you and they process venom in your body and then they harvest your fluids for medicine. We get snake venom antidote doing that to horses now, but you don't think they did to people first? You don't think that was a little country medicine to have you bitten by a snake and to harvest your pee for the next guy?
You bet. Absolutely.
That's why when people say portals and blah blah and portals, to some degree, you're the portals, motherfuckers. So whatever you're allowing to open up the doors and come in, you're a portal. You're a portal for that. And I think these people will just talk to stuff. Tracy Twining's book is so incredible because she just went in like with no preconceived beliefs about it. And then she goes, looking back, these entities were taking advantage. They had her start a secret society. And she was like disinterested doing it. All right, I'm said to do this. Maybe it's telling me stuff. She wasn't like afraid or condemning it. Who's going to even do that? Like, I think this chick's the only person I ever heard of ever doing anything like this. It's eerie, dude, to look at it. And with all these people that get into this, I'm always like amazed where they're like, you would think at the end. Now, if I was her, after I talked to both Cain and Baphomet and found out Baphomet's some Frankenstein egregore these weird gay Templars put together, and blah blah blah. I would go, hey Jesus, I'm ready to. I want to turn myself in, and I'll tell you everything.
Well, no, and they do that. No,
that's going bad. You would go.
That's where Johannism comes in. That's where Johannism comes in. This idea that John the Baptist was the real Messiah. John the Baptist was the real Messiah, and they worship the process of being beheaded, and that Jesus of Nazareth was the pretender, was a fake Messiah. And that allowed the Templars to do things like spit on the cross and blaspheme Jesus because they truly worship. And that's what gets into the skull and bones and worship of the beheading. So
they made a corporate entity. I think, I did her research pretty great. Somebody just commented, hold on. Today exists as the imperial and royal court of the dragon sovereignty, and after some 4,000 years, it is the oldest sovereign court in the world. That dragon thing is a real thing. These people all have, all the British, there's always a red dragon on
Prince
their
of
stuff.
Wales, yeah.
All of them are all about the dragon, and it didn't occur to me until I saw Gary Wayne say it. But like, you know, the Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, and all the dinosaurs they would tell you about, and all of a sudden like, oh, they have feathers now. And you're like, oh yeah, there's a lot of words for a lot of things, man. And I had a book called Kooks that actually, it was some Kooks pamphlet about it. He thought dinosaurs were, you know, some kind of satanic offspring, and I think it's in the dinosaur tax cards. But then I hear Nathan Reynolds tell a story of encountering actual Azazel, I think he said it was, and it was like he said it looked like a proto, like a forerunner of like a Komodo and he named like 3 kind of lizards, and he said it was beautiful, and he felt lust in his heart. He said it had these hexagonal like scales or something. It could like mirror, it could turn invisible, like it could cloak. And he said he lusted after the power it had, and its voice sounded like music. It's one of the most eerie things I've ever heard anybody talk about. Okay, like it was really, it's the last Tony Merkel episode with him. He laid out a bunch of things that I'm like, every time he says a thing, all right, it's wild, man, but I'm gonna check it out. And I'm telling you, I can correlate this to a lot of repeating themes, because he said like Havasu with that dragon imagery. That's because they're under the red dragon. That's what that is.
Right.
His family also followed, he said, Nahash, which was like this horrible looking, that physical. He said not a spirit. It's a physical thing underground.
Hebrew for
He
the
said
serpent,
Apollo was spiritual when he went. He had to go commune with Apollo, who he said was just a guy. He goes, he's a little taller, but he's just a man who became something different. And right there, I'm hearing transhumanist. Right there, that's what that sounds like to me. Because if these transhumanists do their singularity, that's beyond past and future. So that's why you can't look at it as, oh, did something happen in the past? If they make that George Clooney Tomorrowland, you know, from the Disney thing and cause a disaster, it's the same as it being in the past. It's all the same shit. If you're above, you understand? Like, so if they have any tech like that, if they ever made, you know, if the Nazis made it one time, then that means it has always existed. That's what that means. And so I think these assholes have tried to rerun. I think they've tried to reset stuff a few times. And I think there's something with Jesus where they were trying to make a moon child and it backfired on them. The same way a deal with the devil backfires on you. Because they do this thing, they try to pull a specific entity into a pregnant woman. They conceive according to certain dates, like when when 3 magi would be watching, for example. Okay, they're like, oh, something's happening. Now we got taught in Jehovah's Witnesses they wanted to kill Jesus. They couldn't, because God doesn't into that, so they must want to kill him. And the North Star or whatever they followed, that had to be like Lucifer or a demon or something. I don't know. There's different variations people have on it, but the bottom line is, they surround you. You know, you go to some Red Rocks or Arizona, and they surround you with sigils and all these things to program in your mind. That's why your imagination is so important, because it can affect it. And they try to draw the spirit into the kid, you know, to make like a clone of or stuff like you see in sci-fi movies. Or you hear in Linda Moulton Howe lore. The aliens call us containers. And she's like, is it soul containers? You know, that could also mean jizz containers, Linda. I don't want to be negative on your...
Right.
But containers is not a good... I don't find that promising if there's these beings calling us containers.
Right.
I know if I called my girlfriend that, she'll be like, do you even like me?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of control, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's all, I want to switch. And Tracy Twyman said that the thing she came to the conclusion after all this insanity of talking to, she described the Cain in this whatever side dimension or whatever Cain is in a black sun, almost like in Hellraiser, in part 2, that diamond thing when they box that, he's trapped in there like a prism, like the Superman emblem prism, and that's what lights the underworld where they are. Okay, and he's I never heard anything like this before. She said he would keep going, I'm not alive. Don't talk to me like I'm alive. He's asleep. This is what she got from Cain. First, she was trying to talk to a guy named John Cocteau, who spoke French and only tried to do at bash cipher. and it was weak. But then a more powerful entity was Cain, and it would move. So already I'm like, I would stop messing with it, you know? But she's like, no, what she wants to see what it would tell her. Made a better Ouija board that was easier to whatever. And then it finally referred her to Baphomet. But Cain was asleep and in a dream state, like that Cthulhu thing almost, right? And it's undeath. It's actually undeath. Like he's like in a coma, but he has a consciousness trapped in this thing. Okay. And God, according to Cain, God fed him a little bit of blood just to keep him that alive. It's in some other Enoch or something, like birds would bring it. And the Azazel goat, you know, when why do they have to sacrifice animals? I think that might be supposedly like, you know, you're paying taxes to keep this prisoner alive. Like the spilling of the blood. Oh, they called it gum. They didn't call it blood. They call it gum. They give they bring us the gum. It's some Sumerian word.
Like
just
tree
like
sap.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
her books, her Muslim husband, after she died, apparently took a bunch of her books down. But I don't like, it's the stuff that was in it was, and they're trying to switch places with it. Their idea, they think that they want to make, according to what this thing was telling us, they want to make they want to make it happen. When he says a script, yeah, it's like summer stock, dude. Like Shakespeare to them. They cast people, they want to make it happen because they think they can switch places with us, the sons of Adam. Like they can be the ones when the reality dissolves and gets reset, and they think they can be in our place instead of us. And that's what she got out of her thing. And she's somebody who didn't go, and that's when I found Jesus. And no, she never did. She was like, well, she kind of didn't like God either because she didn't like this. It got to be like John Constantine or something, right? That's an astound. I'm telling you, I haven't come across anything like it at all, other than like Nathan saying, I can't wait to read your book. It's a really like it's like scary. It really is scary when you read it because you realize like, you know, people are willing to do all kinds of things to get the answers, and she was only willing to go so far. She was channeling a book like Stupid Aleister Crowley, and she was like, I'm not putting this out. And she put out a different book because she was freaked out that she just in one day wrote a whole book. This is what happens to everybody, and that's what the hypnotic states and the
Right.
and all that we see. Who were you talking about as a little kid? You brought it up first. The guy you saw him on TV on Merv Griffin.
Oh yeah, Tiger Woods.
Yeah, like imagine what somebody really wealthy and powerful in a world of cutthroat snake people is going to do to make sure their kids and progeny, like much like the shows you see, Succession,
Right.
only
Sacrificing infants, and you bet.
I think they don't, even if, let's say they don't do that like ritually, okay, but they do that in front of you, idiots. What do you think Iraq is? What do you think they're doing now? What do you think they did every war you ever remember where they're blowing up kids and calling it? That's not collateral damage. That's a sacrifice.
Right.
That's a sacrifice. That's a bonus. They probably got to, same as the old times where you got to have a certain amount of blood on there. This is the Aztec country we live in. And as what Nathan said, the land of the plumed serpent. And plumed serpent,
you know that the Indianapolis. Go ahead, Mark.
Amaru, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, no. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, the Indianapolis, the was basically sacrificed, was set up as a target for Japanese submarines, and sank with the majority of its 2,000 sailors and crew being eaten alive by sharks across the Feast of Loyola. Some almost 300 Marines that died in the bombing in Beirut. That was across Loyola's birthday, I think October 25th. The Hamas incursion was initiated on October 7th, which is the celebration of Mary, Queen of Heaven, which is also the celebration of the victory of the Crusaders at Lepanto over the Ottomans. Now, why would Hamas start their rape fest on October 7th, which commemorated the victory of the Crusaders over?
By the way, they didn't do a rape fest. Most of that's debunked. 100% was bullshit.
I would say there's just enough blood. I would say there's just enough blood to make it real.
Hannibal directive. They killed their own people. The cars blew up from. Dude, it's wild. We covered this for 3 years. I can't even believe how much here the press, how they report nothing. about it. Go look at Israel's press, and they'll tell you the whole story of all of it. They've been bullshitting since the start with it. It was on purpose, 100%. Bibi was almost out. They tell everyone to stand down. Is that not suspicious to everyone? Oh, also, he's been paying for Hamas to exist for 20 years, in his own words, to prevent a two-state solution.
They've controlled the leadership, not just, I wouldn't say Israel, but the entire machine controlled the leadership. It's an absolute fact, not Hamas, but the PLO, Arafat, wasn't thoroughly corrupt. People be sending money and supplies and food and clothing. He'd just be taking it all and getting rich off of it. That their own leadership are the ones that kept them beat down and angry and oppressed. And when they decide, they open the doors and let them out a little bit, and they go crazy. And that's the result.
They didn't do it. What they wanted to prevent was hostage taking, which is what they did. Now, in the beginning, because when you hear these morons go, oh, let him starve. Hamas just has surrendered. Let him just starve. Like, yo, asshole, aren't your hostages over there? They're going to starve too. Is Hamas going to eat your people? Like, you're starving your own people. Yeah, they'll kill their own. It's called the Hannibal Directive. They don't want to deal with hostages. This goes back to Uganda with Idi Amin. And they're begging them, we don't deal with terrorists. We can't one time. So here's what the Hannibal Directive says. If you think that people are getting grabbed, you blow them up first. Right. So a bunch of helicopters. This is all, just go through the thing. You watch the footage and see it. But go look at Israeli news about it. They'll show you. No American news will tell you the truth about it, though.
It's all scripted, Kurt. It's all scripted, as is the Russian-Ukrainian war. It's all scripted.
That's my favorite one. That one is like, meanwhile, so that's our one side. Then the actual Nazis, not the ones that won't take their son to a drag show or whatever the fuck, like actual from World War II classic style. And I watched that insanity of pretending they're not Nazis. I watched Jon Stewart hang a medal on the Nazi at Disneyland because he had to make up for saying the Wuhan virus came from a lab. Right after that, then he has to interview Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, those two harpies. Ahriman and Hamas themselves.
Look, the CIA owns Ukraine. The CIA owns Ukraine. It's been the underbelly into Russia, and Vladimir Putin is a member on the team. I liken it to the Daniel Craig movie Spectre, where the dark table, where they all sit at the dark table. It's absolutely the same thing. There's no way that look, Putin.
The bottom line is, if the mafia, you weren't allowed to say the mafia existed. It was a conspiracy theory. And I always bring that up with people.
Are you talking J. Edgar Hoover? That's what he knows his thing.
I had history teachers say it. A lot of my history, 8th grade, you go, there's no mafia. I'm like, really? The casino had already come out by this time.
Right.
Okay, so this wasn't like the 70s when the guys handing out flyers, hey, Italian Americans and racism.
Italian Catholic.
I mean, the fact that they try to pull that off of it's racist to suggest there's a mafia. I've met maybe 3 Italians in my whole life who did not want me to think they were associated with the mafia. In Jersey, everybody loved the very idea that you know a guy who knows a guy who's in the mafia.
Right.
So
sure.
Anyway, it didn't exist. A secret. And then I watched Sammy the Bull talking about he would get mad at John Gotti for like, oh, it's all public. And he goes, we're a secret society. They are a secret society. I mean, I don't want to say the J word again of where they come from, but it's just the poor man's version of what the rich people do. That's like the garbage man, blue collar version of an Illuminati is the mafia. That's all it is.
Right.
We're friends, help, or Bohemian Grove or whatever, Skull and Bones. They say there's nothing weirder than they stick their dick in that skull. Okay. And then scream in a coffin and say they're whatever the fuck. Why are you doing that at all? Right. Why would you possibly be doing that at all? Nothing supernatural. Why are you standing with these dudes doing a thing like this? And it's to initiate you in, and then getting rich all at once is almost like getting initiated in, like it almost never happens. It's almost like you got to be initiated. You're not
degrees.
Just
you say degrees, Kurt. Degrees, just like in the Jesuits, just like in the Freemasons. It's degrees. What are you willing to do to get ahead? That's the question, and it goes much, much lower. You take people like Kathy O'Brien seriously when it gets into the details, and when she gets into the details of what exactly goes on at these rituals, and the purpose is to lock in your loyalty, to lock you in with having done stuff that is so crazy blackmail that you would never come off the plantation, that you would never betray your Illuminati pyramid.
You see the metaphor for that too, by the way. See, this is why I think they hate the idea of Jesus the most, is because the whole system depends on you are locked into this vile that you did thing that there is no forgiveness. You understand, for what you did? That's why there will be no disclosure.
Home run.
Because people would rip them apart like zombies in anger. I mean, I say it like half jokingly, but like I said, I don't consider myself Christian. I have to like probably pray to Jesus to get the superpower to not want all them people in a wood chipper.
You're
right?
not a
But there's no
religionist.
way out unless you could do it. There's no way out unless somebody.
Home run.
Yeah, there's a thing to get out. And
Home
so
run.
I think that's the big backfire. And it's because they're so legalistic and corporatist. That's the whole key, dude. That's the very foundation of being a dirty fucking Satanist is corporatism. I don't care about capital. Everybody's stupid thing they're emotionally attached to. The corporate thing, the conscience-free entity that has the rights of a man. What does that sound like to you? I mean, like, and so if you don't have any way of getting out of like a bad contract from a dirty actor, which is what the whole world's run by, they don't want you to know that. So and I've said the whole time, the whole appeal of Jesus to me is there's some bill that you're on the hook for that wasn't paid. Everybody feels it. Everybody got mad about something that was done to them and somebody didn't pay. And I mean, you could just sum it all up into some massive energy force of like, who's going to pay for this? So the whole idea, let's say it's made up, just the idea that took off how it did, is a guy that didn't do nothing. He literally didn't do nothing wrong. He actually only did help people out. There's no fault with him.
Right.
And they killed him for a crime he didn't commit. And it was such a crime to do that. Okay. That these people that are bean counters, and it's all of them, dude. It's all these like corporatist mentality, fucking old religion kind of people. They know how much energy they had to spend and what they had to get back for it. They know their material universe is, burns out eventually, and they need the that's why it's so vampiric.
Kurt,
right?
I say this all the time for people who are inside, for people who are in these secret societies, committing the crimes, pulling off the George Floyd fake, did he actually die or we don't even know. But I tell them again and again and again, you think that you are obligated to this group. You think that if you ever waver in your loyalty to them, that's where, no, they will do you in a heartbeat. They will do you just because. And I bring up guys like Navy SEAL sniper Chris Kyle, who got shot in the back, right?
That was all fake. That was all fake ass shit. All them SEAL books are fake.
The guy whose mercenary group was called The Craft. Okay, I pull up a guy like Audie Murphy, who was a Catholic Freemason, who was doing great. He was the top of the world. He was the most, and he really wasn't the most decorated. There have been other soldiers who were more decorated than him, but he was the ultimate warrior, the ultimate soldier. And then in the 70s, he started talking about PTSD. He started to threaten the war-making machine, and that's when he went down in a plane accident. So
I thought it was because he picked up that trans woman to look at her feet. Or you're saying Audie Murphy,
Audie Murphy. No. Yeah, Audie Murphy, the World War II hero. Yeah.
Think of just the hero, dude. Like Lucifer was never a name of Satan, and I always hear that.
It's a title. It's a title. Yes,
but it's a star. You got a star in Hollywood. You got that's your immortality. You're a star. Okay, and I mean it's right there. It's like right there. So those oaths, and you're not supposed to take blood oaths because it's right. You could be held to them.
That's right. Let your yes be yes, your no be no, says Christ.
So you're not going to get into power unless you're willing to take a lot of blood oaths. And you mentioned, I think people who don't understand, who haven't been initiated,
right?
They'll glaze over when you mention these clubs, like they're trained to glaze over when you say Freemason something. I have friends like, I don't care about. I'm like, I don't care about it either. But like, what is it? Why? Like, what? They're not building nothing. I guess your brain prison, it turns out, in the end of the day. But you have to belong. You have to take a bunch of blood. You're tied up with oaths, right and left. Okay, the mafia even had that. May I burn like this saint if I ever tell on my friends. Everybody takes blood oaths to trap them. And so the whole appeal of Christ to me, if you're going to be into that, would be, it's like what my mom would make the store honor a coupon they didn't want to honor. Like they're locked into their own rules that they make. You can control the world, but you made the rules, asshole. So you're locked in. and you got to honor Jesus coupons, whether you like it or not. I get a strong impression that's what's going on.
Listen, why should you care if whether or not you are what Freemason? I don't care about Freemasonry. How about this? How about let's go back to the so-called killing. Yeah, right. The killing of Walter Scott in 2015, which was out in South Carolina. The apparent shooting of Walter Scott by a white police officer, Walter Scott, black man, by white police officer Michael Slager. Okay, and I've got the CNN picture of Slager being debriefed with his left pant leg rolled up over his knee.
Okay. Oh, is this the Coke thing? And I feel like I saw something about the. Oh yeah, the roll. Yeah, well, can you help a widow's son? That's that Cain stupid shit.
So listen, why you should care about Freemasons, because Freemasons own things like the police. You trust the police to protect you when you need, call 911. Don't go to a gun. Don't go for a gun. Go call 911. Well, guess what? There are people who are entirely corrupt. They have taken vows to themselves. They can taken vows to their society, and they don't owe you anything. You should care about them because they're the ones conducting this divide and conquer, white shooting black, and so on and so forth. That what's his name? Chauvin had his hand in his pocket. Were you Alanis Morissette when you have your knee on George Floyd's neck? Is that some kind of hidden hand thing? These are the ones. These are the people creating these massive inner city riots between blacks and shooting. Why should you care about Freemasonry? Why should you care about Freemasonry? Like I said,
wait, I'll tell you why, dude. I was trying to get the thing while you were explaining that. So Blair White was on. Blair White, his real name is Blair Russell, and Blair White, her family invented Jehovah's Witnesses. Blair White's like the passionist trans online, I would say, and crazy. Rosicrucians was the cult they were in. Left Hand Path, which is Austin's lousy at Rosicrucians, dude. But Blair said when you go out west, there's these things called census designated places or something, and they don't have normal law. Dude, there's a lot of creepy ass shit in these census and so we're talking about with law enforcement is compromised. It almost doesn't matter the name of the group. Like even, hey, you call it the Kiwanis Club or whatever. Yeah. There's always going to be a secret circle within a circle formation. And they're obsessed with that. Is like, we have our circle. All you just think of Nexiums. A bunch of Nexiums run things in the small towns because that's what it is. In fact, that guy going to Albany, that's the psychic corridor I found out from Mark here, where all the tech boom of weird warlock cults came out.
Yeah, Kodak camera, the superstitious movements, the spiritualist movement, which created a lot of the superstitious culture in America. Halloween is sort of a part of that, but yeah. Weird stuff. I want to say something about the Austin really quick because you mentioned the Rosicrucians there. Austin's nickname is the city with the violet crown. And there's a ton of weird stuff with Austin. I mean, hence the cliche. But apparently, one of
goddess of homelessness, because that's what it looks like.
One of the Crowley wannabe temples has a outpost down there in Austin. It's like the only OTO lodge in that part of the country. It's in Austin.
Well, keep Austin weird, I guess.
Yeah.
It's creepy as hell, man.
Albany, for anybody in New York, go to Albany and look at the giant egg. And what do you like? What's that for? Why is that there?
That's the egg that UFO guy fell in love with while he was flying in his helicopter. The guy with the bald head. It looks like. Wait, I wanted to tell you this before we go, and I'm blanking out like a real jerk off. Oh, okay. Here's why I would relate it to all this stuff. If you don't like hearing it in mystical, stupid, gay Atlantis terms, I know I hate it. What all these societies do, it's like ways of tricking you into signing things, like a Nigerian prince scam, or we covered this on Jimmy's show. That guy David Pacman, he would have all these fight Trump petitions that he would have his viewers sign. Okay, and it would be like, don't spend money on the gala ball, but it was actually to scrape their data because he makes a huge chunk of his money from scraping their data. Okay, and he's got an inner circle of pay pigs that are doing this. That's what all these people are. There's just like circles of pay pigs, and then there's the creme de la creme inbreds and their ultimate corrupt priests doing the same scam since the days of Egypt. It really is like that simple to me, and you can just see it reflected in internet scams. You could take any single thing and find a reflection in, how these creepy hermeticists say,
consent by fraud is not legal consent, by the way. For anybody that gets trapped in that, if you're trapped in that, you think, oh, I got pulled in and I signed my life away. No, consent by fraud is not legal consent. By the way, Rochester, New York is that Devil's Triangle, the birthplace through Freemasonry, just like Mark was saying, not just Spiritism, but Mormonism and William Miller, Adventism into Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right. The Millerites split into the Adventists and the
and they
Jehovah's
have
Witnesses.
all that in common. They have Freemasonry. They have the doom predictions. That all that in common.
And famously, Michael Hoffman calls that area the psychic highway, and he writes about the William Morgan scandal, which is where the third political party in America's history was formed out of this big anti-Masonic panic that happened after William Morgan.
Yes, this used to be a huge issue. Yeah, it's a great. Hey, I forgot all about that. You're right, dude.
Yeah, tied to the Whigs.
Batavia, New York, which is in that same area. The Freemasons found out this guy William Morgan was going to write a tell-all, so they took him with a hood over his head and threw him over the falls at Niagara, and the whole country got really upset, as they should have, because of what was going on.
Did this coincide? By the way, did this by any chance
30 something, and that's like just after that Skull and Bones and these groups started forming, if that's what you're going.
Wait, no, I want to ask you, did this coincide? Remember the guy that famously pulled a prank by saying he had infiltrated the Freemasons and they have a palladium level, and he would say a crocodile man played the piano, and increasingly it was over the course of 12 years. I mean, the guy really stuck to the bit. And he came out and said it was a prank. And if you look this up, it'll be reported as one of the biggest pranks. And that's when it dispelled this nonsense about Freemasonry. He wanted to see if people are gullible. I don't buy. First of all, even the guy with the giant fake tits in that shop class in Canada couldn't keep it going
right.
for more than a year and a half. And that guy, to my knowledge, that's the human limit on a prank. You paid all the ranks of Freemasonry for that long.
Right.
Because it's not free. You have to pay your way in like a fucking idiot.
Right.
And does this by any chance coincide with these political goings on, or is this two completely different time periods, Mark, is my question. Like, when did the thing you're talking about happen?
In the 1830s.
All right, I got to look this up. I bet you, I wonder if anybody knows off the top of their head. Maybe I should look at the comments. Oh, dude, I didn't even know how to read. All right, we got to wrap up, and I got to read your comments. I'm sorry. I work this like an asshole, and always people fucking super chatting.
Oh, it's fine. We only got a couple super chats, so people get your super chats in now.
These old ones, love all your takes up Asperger's takes. Don't mind being made fun of. We are not robots to be programmed. All humans are robots. Listen, I don't talk that way, but I'm telling you, your leaders, they call you bioprogrammable human robotoids. Whether you got the thing named after the Nazi commandant or not, that's what they call that human nature's programmability is the big secret in the Church of Satan. Pazio, that's their big. What is human nature? Not good or bad. It's programmability. And I think that's true to some degree, because I could see ways I got programmed my whole life that they just don't work because they're like boring now. What's up with that James McCann? I got him coming. Don't worry. Have Ben Davidson on from Space Weather News. I will, but if that's the guy I'm thinking of, I just get scared and I don't get entertained by it. It's always there's a solar storm approaching. But hey, this is Derp with Kurp. I'll have one. Yo, what's done against Jennifer Lawrence story? For $1.99. You want me to tell you that story? Come on, man. All right, I might, but hold on. Let me read people's comments. I love how you connect so many dots, Kurp. I've woken up so much right along with you. Thanks for helping as we laugh. What would you say is the ultimate goal of the channel? Well, I'd like it to not like make me money instead of cost me money. That would be nice. Okay, but I got some fine premium content coming. What's your opinion on the stuff about Bible about Bibby in the Bible Codes book? That sounds like a childhood book I had. Bibby in the Bible Code. Dude, I don't understand what the point of like maybe there's a code in there, but like I don't get why It just blanks me right out. All these kind of numbery code things. Like I like hearing stories, and I'm good with words and verbal and math. You know, you're not gonna. I just can't like look into numbers like that. That's why this channel is making goddamn money. All right. Mark, please come back. The production is new levels of low value. I miss your voice on the phone.
You're definitely reading old super chats now. Scroll all the way down. Those are from last week because somebody commented last week about me not being on Danny Polachuk's podcast anymore.
You're not? Oh, yo, Kurp, check out No Way Jose's podcast. I think I've seen that and it was pretty good. Search for lists of use of presidents that are Freemasons. Get ready. I mean, they're not just Freemasons. Again, those names end up being nothing. Sir Cecil Rhodes' big idea was to model his thing on that and do call it whatever the hell you want.
After the Jesuits. Rhodes modeled after the Jesuits.
Yeah, the Jesuits, the Bavarian Illuminati, the Freemasons, and somebody else. But they're all the same. It's one pyramid scheme. Dude, the pyramid is a scheme for a reason because it works. Or, excuse me, sales funnel. What do you think about Peter Joseph's zeitgeist film theory of Zodiac being the root of? I think it's not. I think it's reverse.
Discredited.
Because it spread so fast that I consider it. This is just my theory. I think it's what the Jesus thing spreading that fast represented was populism. The number one thing these people fucking hate. People not being identity politics.
Decentralized, amen. Decentralized populism,
so
amen.
Now you got these people that are getting decentralized. Meanwhile, your military is all Mithraist, kissing each other on their asshole to meet Mithras cult. What are you going to do? And also, you want to conquer shit, so you need a military to do your devilish work that you want to do. You just merge them together, like you absorb your competition, like any other corporation that's smart would do.
I call it the Praetorian class within feudalism, Kurt. The samurai, they're the ones with the weapons that keep the peasants down and insulate the aristocracy.
The same reason Comcast sucks is why the Catholic Church sucks. That's what I'm saying at the end of the day.
Institutional, right?
Okay, what do you think about Kurp, when you die, are you going to trust the white light, or are you going to turn around and face the void and demand to ascend somewhere else? I don't know what I have to figure out. Do I have to say now? Can I figure it out when I get there? Like when I die, can I think about it? Or do I have to be like a pharaoh of old planning my journey of Osiris over the river? It says like that bullshit, don't it? Then when the ferryman comes, say 3 times, no light, no soul net. I think all that soul net, by the way, what?
No, go ahead. Soul net.
I love you, Kurp. So happy you're not Jewish. Well, what does it get me, huh? What does that got me? I still get anti-Semitism thrown at me nonstop.
Thing.
What
were you going to just say about the SoulNet thing? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to let Johnny give his plugs and stuff before you kept reading the
Okay. I think that's true for somebody, but I don't think it's true for us. And I think there's another group of whatever or what have yous that want you to think their problems are your problems, but they're not. And I think they're trying to scam you. And that's why meditation. Oh my, do you meditate? What? You blank my mind out so somebody can use my container? Right. No, you chump, you big city chump. Right. So I pray and say, please protect me from the Charles Manson hobos running around my neighborhood. I do that. Is that like meditating? Fucking anyway.
Johnny, tell the people where they can get your books and follow your podcast, Resistance Rising.
I would just say real quick, now is the time to figure out this whole spread, because 1 out of 1 people will die at some point in their lifetime. Now is the time to figure that stuff out. You can reach me at JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci.com. You can write me at Johnny@JohnnyCirucci.com. Go to the support tab. I don't make any money either. PayPal, Vatican. I'm gonna use my links because someone's impersonating me off of PayPal. I got 5 books, and one of them, Eaters of Children, The Pedocracy Exposed. I'm going to be sending signed.
Send that to me, dude. Yeah.
All 5 of them you can still get on CIA Amazon, because I'm basically a shadow banned. They're not worried about me. Illuminati Unmasked, Secret History, Eaters of Children, Romans of Mass Destruction, and Disciples of Ra on pandemics and the medical kill cult. You can find my videos and my shows on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, UgTube, and Brighton. But look for either Johnny Cirucci or Resistance Rising, and that's how you can connect.
Dude, thanks for coming on. By the way,
Love you, brother. Seriously,
brought you up because my book never got me here.
I was thrilled. No, but seriously, I did this because as a joke, but I am absolutely thrilled. I do consider you one of the most plugged in public figures.
Well, I'm just an old country judge and Queen of Violet. Whoa, this is not a sturdy bench. Let me just answer Stephen J. Why do you think the Queen of Conspiracy? Why do you have just conspiracy in quotes? Shouldn't the Queen of Conspiracy? Are they not okay? Theories and disclosure.
Because she's Catholic. Because she's married to a hyper devout Catholic. She became Catholic.
Yeah, it's a real warning fight. Well, look, here's what I look at. I just want to hear your information. Okay, you know how I'll use this analogy of when you hear people complain about these the whole mafia has a podcast now, as you know, and I'll watch. I watch a Jeff Nadeau one because he knows all the mafia stuff. But there's always this thing where, oh, he's a snitch, and I'm supposed to care that they good. The mafia is bad. I'm glad you hurt the mafia. He didn't kill the people. He said, well, that's even better news. Anyway, I think I just want to hear the information. I don't really care if you're in the mafia. You're in the mafia. Just tell me your secrets. I don't care about if you're a good person. So as far as her being Catholic, when she tells a lie that I could detect, I'll point it out. If she's wrong, when she's on Jimmy's show, I'm not trying to be on my high horse of correcting the Queen of Conspiracy Theories, as you say. But she said the first concentration camp was the Soviets. It was not. It was, of course, Sir Cecil Rhodes, as I do from that book, where they have pictures of, it looks like Auschwitz from the Boer War. And it's like white and black people. So that's kind of nice.
From Britain.
Kind of from
created by the British.
Say that again? Yeah.
It's created by the British, the Boer War.
The Nazis are not they made the Nazis the end all be all. They're just a farm team, like a lot of other shitty farm teams. Which
country were the first ones to bomb civilians? Germany or America or no, Great Britain.
I have no idea.
Great Britain was the first nation to indiscriminately bomb civilians. How about this, Candace Owens, with this ridiculous idea that Emmanuel Macron's wife is his mother, is his father, and nobody knows the real truth. Which is Emmanuel Macron met his wife at the Jesuit high school where she was teaching and married and had kids. And she left her husband and her kids to marry her student, Emmanuel Macron. And now we have all this bullshit smoke and mirrors completely muddying up the Jesuit connection by Roman Catholic Candace Owens.
Yeah, well, I think she has a dick still, and that's true with what you said.
That's a separate issue. That's a separate issue. I think
Candace Owens should be the dong-finder general of America, and that's my final ruling on that. when she sniffs dong, she don't stop till she finds it. Also, look, I just find it hilarious if you look back, like back in the day of like Obama's a secret Muslim. And then who would have ever guessed it would turn out he's gay and his wife has a dick?
In Indonesia, that he went to 1 year of a madrasa and 4 years at St. Francis of Assisi. Carries around a picture of Mary in his pocket. Says Roman Catholic Jerry Corso when he was investigating.
Yeah, well, I think knowing the Bush family from a very young age is already suspicious.
Oh, thoroughly controlled. His mother,
who did they know? What kids would know that family?
His mother and his grandmother
Monarch wind-up toys.
You bet. Oh, you bet. His mother and his grandmother were CIA banksters, and his nanny in Indonesia was a real transgender, to use
transgender. That's what you say, Kyle.
Yeah. Had to.
When we do Biden, we gotta help transgenders.
You guys are the best. My love to Kyle.
Is that all this stuff left? Let's see.
Yeah, that's everything worth reading.
All right, thanks, guys. You just got derped or Kurp. I don't know. They can fill it in. We'll put it in post. Whatever my final. All right, thanks.